Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. So this morning, coming in the studio here with a little coffee to do a gear news video. The reason why I wanted to jump in to do this gear news video is because yesterday there was the running of the King of the Baggers at Laguna Seca in California, which, if you're not familiar, Laguna Seca is world famous track. It's where a lot of these supercars and manufacturers bring their products to try to put out the best lap times they possibly can. Well, there's this absolutely asinine idea that I think is actually pretty brilliant, which is King of the Baggers. And it's a race of all of the popular baggers that are on the market today. So it was 13 bikes. You had 11 Harley-Davidsons and 2 Indians. The field was 6 road glides, 3 street glides, and 1 Road King, 2 Indians, 2 Challengers. So you had 11 Harley-Davidsons, 2 Challengers. The end result ended up being pretty fascinating. You had 36% of the Harley-Davidsons did not finish. On the other side, 66%, that's right, 2 Indian Challengers, placed podium at the end. So both of Indian's bikes crossed the finish line. The fact that Indian was able to place 2 of their bikes on the podium out of the 2 they entered is pretty impressive. So I do suggest that you guys watch the video. I'll link it down below. It was all in about a 13-minute race, 8 laps. Now, one of the things that I found most interesting was on the 3rd or 4th lap, Tyler O'Hara, who ended up winning the race, dropped out. He basically ran off the track, fell back to 3rd place, and then still ran down the entire field to finish first. So Indian placing 1st and 3rd is pretty impressive, in my opinion. Also, on the practice day, the 3rd practice round, Frankie Garcia looped his bagger. Not something you hear very often, somebody looping their bagger. Luckily, he was okay. Obviously, he ended up going on to place 3rd, and that incident did not take him out of the race in subsequent days. Now, from what I understand, these baggers are all highly modified. You have 800-pound baggers that are probably racing more closely to about 600 pounds. But either way, I think Battle of the Baggers is a very interesting race, and I hope to see a lot more of this going down the road. I hope they make this an entire series. I think it's pretty cool. Hopefully, maybe it helps reinvigorate some of the bagger market. And in all reality, Harley-Davidson Indian crushed you on the podium, so maybe there's a little bit of competitiveness there that comes back. So now that we've talked about King of the Baggers, let's jump into some other news that I find interesting over the last month or so. First story is the Harley-Davidson relaunching the Enthusiast Magazine. We all know here on this channel I've been pretty critical of Harley-Davidson embracing old media. This is just another, in my opinion, example of Harley-Davidson living in this boomer world where people are going to pay attention to some sort of corporate polished magazine, the Enthusiast. I just don't see it happening. Jochen Zeit says this is a return to a great tradition. We believe today the Enthusiast title is more relevant than ever in a year when so many people have been stuck inside. Printed 4 times annually with a circulation of 500,000 print copies in the United States, plus 150,000 copies internationally. In my opinion, a lot of these copies are probably just getting thrown on coffee tables or in the garbage. This is just another example of large media departments of these big companies spending more time printing paper that goes in the wastebasket than in actual real consumed organic content. So we'll see where that goes. In other news, Harley-Davidson is ending its operations in India as it's restructuring. And whether you are pro or anti Harley-Davidson being in India, India is one of the largest motorcycle markets, emerging markets on the globe today. So this is pretty impactful for Harley. Whether or not they were succeeding in sales there is, I guess, a different story. But in all reality, again, India is a huge market. Indian Motorcycles realizes this, and as they're saying, they're quite happy to stay in India. So it's no secret that Harley-Davidson is having to kind of bring things in a little bit, reel it in as to their market, and it looks like Indian is probably in a better position to stay in these emerging markets and might end up having a leg up on Harley-Davidson long term when it comes to those markets. Now, another story worth noting, Indian has released this new mini e-bike for kids. I think that it's a segment that is important. We've all talked about, it's been talked about extensively about Honda having small CC off-road dirt bikes for kids to grow up and develop a brand loyalty to an early age, which of course transpires over to adult when they have money to spend. So Indian making this entry is important for Indian. Harley-Davidson's doing the same thing. So looks like there is also a race to capturing younger eyes at an earlier time frame. So pretty important. I think it's pretty cool to see that these brands are trying to do that. Now, some other interesting EV news. Zero Motorcycles has released their 2021 lineup, and they have a really nice, actually, in my opinion, looking full-fairinged motorcycle, the SRS, which I think is a pretty cool bike. I'm interested in Zero Motorcycles as a platform. Of course, I am a fan of the Harley-Davidson Livewire. I can say that just even getting on this thing for a couple miles, it feels incredibly solid. I mean, this bike feels like you're getting what you pay for. Holy crap. Riding that bike was an absolute pleasure. Of course, EV is the future. A lot of people are kind of crapping on it, but in all reality, Harley-Davidson is constantly getting beat up on for being late to a trend. So it's nice to see with the Livewire that they are a little bit earlier on a trend. What you want to see happen in the future is, like this story, ASU Police. The police department received funding for zero-emission motorcycles, which they went with Zero Motorcycles. In all reality, again, in 5 years from now, it will be nice to see those types of bikes being Harley-Davidsons if Harley can make that more affordable motorcycle for those types of departments. In my opinion, EV motorcycles make all the sense in the world, especially when you start talking about college police departments where they want to have audible awareness of everything around them, but also the maneuverability of motorcycles to get around campuses. It's a very smart play, in my opinion, for these schools to have this type of motorcycle, and police departments for parade duty, things like that, where they may not want the rumble of a motor underneath them distracting from everything around them. So again, you get on an EV motorcycle, you are 100% aware of all of your surroundings, it's an important thing for police duty. So hopefully Harley-Davidson can start entering this market in the near future, where miles maybe aren't the issue, but situational awareness and smaller patrol areas don't really care about mileage so much. So that is a pretty interesting story, in my opinion. Now, Long Way Up. Long Way Up is the series where the Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman set out on their Harley-Davidson Livewires to take off, from South America to North America. I tell you what, the first episode lost me when I saw all of the support they had from basically having mobile charging stations, the Rivian, which is a huge EV market, which I think Rivian is an awesome brand in and of itself. They basically installed a bunch of charging stations along the way. Not something that you or I, if we were to buy Livewires, could reach out to an EV company to install a bunch of charging stations to make sure that we can make it the whole way. The entire series kind of lost me when they had all of these mobile support units with Rivian trucks and generators, and just the amount of support that went into these guys, from filming to charging to just being able to sustain life on the road. I've had a really hard time getting into this series. I'm only 3 episodes in, and I don't have a lot of desire to turn it back on. I don't know. I think that's really what lost me, was just the amount of support those guys had going into it. I'm a huge fan of organic content. It's not really organic when you have millions and millions of dollars pumped into the behind-the-scenes stuff to make sure that it's a success. So that's where it lost me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, if you're into it or not. Kind of bad news for Harley-Davidson, as especially right now, they are reporting low double-digit sales. Harley will also, on the 27th, which is 2 days from the recording of this video, be reporting on their Q3 sales, which I will probably do a video on, which we all expect the decline. So the dealers reporting those low double-digit percentage sales declines. I'm assuming that the Q3 results are going to kind of follow. So we'll see how that is, again, a couple days from today. Not a great time for Harley-Davidson. What I will say is that Indian Motorcycle releases their 2021 model year lineup. Not a whole lot happening with Indian for this year. Last year they had the Challenger announcement, which was pretty significant. Harley really has not answered or clapped back from that announcement as of yet. Harley is expected to release their 2021 lineup in the spring, which should bring the announcement of the Pan America, which will be a significant announcement. I hope that Harley-Davidson is also behind the scenes making some minor but yet impactful changes to their touring bikes. LEDs, things like that, low-hanging fruit. I've mentioned this before. I hope that Harley-Davidson just does enough with their 2021 baggers to have people changing the narrative of the lacking perceived value, as I call it constantly, of just some of the small mods that everybody makes on their bikes that just kind of look like Harley-Davidson cash grabs. So hopefully with 2021 coming with the Pan America announcement and maybe some small tweaks to the Harley-Davidson bagger line, that Harley makes a splash in 2021 that Indian didn't, and we're off to the races, hopefully with competitiveness. I'm hoping in the next 2-3 years we're seeing some incredible competition between Indian and Harley-Davidson, that Harley-Davidson realizes that there is a real competitor in the market now, that they have no choice but to bump up some of that perceived value in their lineup. We'll see. Time will tell. So guys, if this is your first time tuning in, I don't usually have green nails. My daughter decided to paint my nails with marker, and that is why when you have a 4-year-old, this is things that happen. But again, if this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel, and I will see you guys next time.